Hi, my name is Dr. Fox. I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Texas and an expert in the area of personality disorders. And in this video, we're going to talk about BPD and the fear of loss, specifically loss aversion. Now, the concept of loss aversion can be really complex and really challenging, particularly for those with BPD. So in this video, we're going to kind of break it down. We're going to talk about how to combat it, how to get over it, how to build resilience against it, to help you not only manage your BPD, but also manage that sense of loss aversion. So let's get into it. Please like, share, and subscribe, and here we go. So losses loom larger than gains, and this means that people by nature are aversive to losses, right? And that makes sense. And loss aversion in behavioral economics refers to a phenomenon where a real or potential loss is perceived by individuals as psychologically or emotionally more severe than the equivalent gains. For instance, so the pain of losing $100 is often far greater than the joy gained by finding the same amount. But what about in relationships? Now, in relationships, this could mean that the loss of a partner is more intense than the joy of having them close. And I think that a lot of folks with BPD experience this fear. They fear this sense of loss aversion. And I think common core content for those with BPD is abandonment and emptiness. And what happens is that loss aversion can sometimes lead folks to be very isolated, live a life that is very solitude, based on solitude, and they're often alone and they long for that connection. And it's hard for them to get out and engage with others because of that loss aversion. And loss aversion can get stronger as the stakes of like a gamble, let's say, or your choice grows larger. So this would mean that fear of loss intensifies as you start to imagine and predict going out into a social network. Not like a social media network, right? Because I think a lot of us are safe and disconnected from that a lot of times. But I think going out and like meeting new people, doing a meetup, and certainly COVID is a big issue with that, of course. But we're saying, if you're vaccinated, if you're staying safe and things like that, but about, re-engaging with people and, connecting with people, trying to meet a boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, whatever connects with you, or even trying to expand your friend group. And that can mean, well, if I expand my friend group, then I have more people who can then leave me. That is loss aversion. Because you're saying, well, the fear of losing is greater than the benefit of having, but yet you're driven to have a connection with others. And that's part of that paradox of BPD, which is that BPD wants you to be close. It tells you that, right? It's that little voice, not a psychotic voice, but it's that little internal voice that says, yeah, you want to be close to people. But then on the other side, you didn't know I was going to do little hand puppets today, but I am. And then right where the other side is telling you, well, they're going to leave you. Well, you're going to be without them. Well, you're going to be miserable. Everybody leaves you, things like that. So what happens is this voice is larger. And often because it's been with you longer, it's usually louder, and it tends to know how you work. Your BPD knows how you work. Now, what happens is that folks with BPD over time, they build this thing called a BPD lens, which that lens kind of covers your perspective of self and others. I talk about this in my workbook about how to challenge it, how to change it, and using a more authentic view. And I think that loss aversion is a real huge component to this. And I think understanding that BPD lens not only perpetuates and intensifies that loss aversion, but also your BPD. It also keeps your BPD in place. So ultimately what we have to do is we have to challenge it. We have to challenge it with skills. We have to challenge it with sometimes the opposite of loss aversion. I was just seeing I wanted to give you time to fill it in, right? Okay. So what we do with that is that we have to find the optimism. And, it's interesting when you talk about optimism, a lot of folks are like, oh, okay, so you're just saying that if I say positive stuff, then magically everything will be okay. No, not at all. What I'm saying is that if we focus on optimism and we build that strength of optimism, we build that sense of hope, we try to challenge a lot of that negative self-talk, a lot of that negative self-evaluation, what happens is that we end up engaging in behaviors that actually encourage positive outcome. Is there any guarantee to positive outcome? No. Does loss aversion condition us over time to give greater emphasis on negatives and losses than it does the positives and the wins? Absolutely. That means we have to make a conscious choice to be optimistic, to see the benefits, even when it's hard, even when there may be only one positive to perhaps 3 negatives. Doesn't matter. We have to focus on the one positive. And, some folks may be hearing this and, your BPD isn't going to like this. Your BPD is going to say, that guy is nuts. That guy is bananas. That guy is baloney. All of these other fruits and legumes and stuff like that. That's what you're going to be calling me. But I want you to resist that. And I want you to know that when your BPD gets afraid, it scares you. Your BPD can often be a living thing, but it doesn't have to be part of you. You are not BPD. You have BPD or BPD traits. Very different. It doesn't make up who you are. It could be part of how you see the world, but it's not who you are or what you are. It's something that you're contending with. It's something that you're dealing with. And that even that can be a component of optimism, to see that you can do things differently, that you can manage and change things differently. So what I want you to do is, I want you, as you're going through the day, as you're laying down right before you go to sleep, which is usually when your brain has the most fun with you, fun, that's kind of a sarcastic way of saying fun, right? So when you lay down, your mind starts wandering and it starts going really fast and you start to think, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you focus more on your what ifs as opposed to the what is, right? The what is are facts, things that you know are going on in your life. The what ifs are things that, what if this happens? What if he leaves me, she leaves me, they don't like me, things like that, I fail. It's fine to think those things, but we want to challenge those things. We want to go against those things, and we want to find the positive. In all of those things, you want to catch yourself, challenge that old fear and those old negative self-evaluations, and know that it's part of loss aversion, that it's part of that distortion of your positives and your negatives. It's part of that distortion. What we want to do is we want to change that, where your optimism and your strength and your positivity become stronger than the fear of negative. We're all going to lose something in life. It's going to happen. But that doesn't have to define us. We can continue to go forward. We can continue to push for the positive. We can continue to fight the battles against BPD so that you win the war against it. And you have control over your life and control over your urges and control over the things that keep you locked in place, perhaps lonely, afraid, fear of abandonment, sense of emptiness. It's challenging these things and doing things differently, and you can do it. I want to encourage you to do it differently. Challenge it with optimism. Push back. Use positive terms to explain yourself, to look at yourself, to evaluate yourself. To yourself, not to others. You don't need to do that to others. Only for yourself. Your sense of self-value will emanate to the world the more you hold onto it and the more you embrace it. If it is negative, it will go out negative. If it is positive, it will go out positive. And I hope this has been positive for you. I hope this has been a positive experience. And please watch this over and over and let it get into your brain. Let it get into how you see the world and see yourself and see others. You can do it differently. I wish you all the best. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I'm on TikTok now too. So check that out. I'm not doing any of the dances. I can't do that. Please check me out on that too. I'm also on Instagram and all that stuff. So please check it out. And thank you very much. And be well and be optimistic about your future, who you are, and where you're going. Thank you.